In what, in your opinion, made Lemmy, you said extraordinary, what was kind of unique and different about him as, I suppose, as a person and a bass player, musician, I suppose?
Well, I didn't know him as a person, and obviously, I did later on. But it was the whole thing about Hawkwind, that they were punk before punk became known in the popular world, totally kind of anti-establishment and did completely their own thing. But it was the whole thing about the atmosphere. I remember when we went into the foyer, I got handed a Space Ritual program, which I've still got, a joss stick and a small tin of Heinz beans. And years and years later, I asked Lemmy, what was with the handing out tins of Heinz beans? He said, fuck if I know. Can't remember anything about that. But it was just that the whole bizarre, as soon as you got in there, and then you had all the psychedelic light show and the joss sticks, but it was just the shape of that guitar was just whoever designed a Rickenbacker must have been out of their brains at the time, because it's just extraordinary, and it's still my choice to this day. And I just like the way he approached the bass. It wasn't plonk plonk plonk, with your fingers. It was like a full-on attack, kind of. He incorporated really nasty kind of evil bass lines with the real driving rhythm, which I can't think of any other bass player that really did that. There was no virtuosity. It was just kind of sheer, I don't know what it was, animalism, if you like, and it just kind of connected straight to me.
I mean, I know I've noticed you got a big love of Rickenbackers, which seems to have stayed with you. I mean, I play guitar, so I know Rickenbackers have kind of distinctive kind of tone. I suppose it's the same with bass. They're more kind of they're quite distinctive sound, I suppose, Rickenbackers. Yeah,
they're very distinctive. I mean, the old ones, I don't like the new 4003s too much. I've got one actually I used to like, but I've had it quite severely customized. But they do. I mean, they've got a very aggressive clank to them, and or a growl. I mean, I've got quite a few of them, and they all sound different. Some have got that really bright kind of Chris Squire sound, and others have got a far dirtier growl to them. And I didn't like Fenders because everybody used them, and to me they were just dull, a bit like magnolia paint. Why have magnolia paint if you have something else? And I mean, ironically, during lockdown, I got so bored, I actually bought a couple of Fenders, which I've been playing a bit and using on a bit of session work. And I did have one. In fact, my first proper bass was a jazz bass that the Hotrods insisted I buy, because the Feelgood's bass player used a Fender. I got the Fender, and I bought it, but I didn't like it. I didn't get on with it, and a few months later I flogged it, and when I could afford a Rickenbacker. So I just love the shape of them. A lot about my stuff is aesthetics. Thunderbirds and Rickenbackers just look the dogs.
I don't know if you can see over my shoulder. I convinced myself to buy one of those Gretsch guitars this week. See the nice shiny orange one? Yeah. But again, on the aesthetic, I just think they're the coolest thing ever. The Bigsby on and all that stuff.
They look great. So but that was the main reason. Rickenbacker just feels right. Everything about it for me: the body profile, neck profile, the sound, the look of it.
Have you been endorsed by Rickenbacker over the years?
No, never bothered with it.
No, you've got some freebies.
I don't think they give out freebies. I mean, they make a few. They made one for Lemmy. They made some awful thing for some bass player that nobody had heard of until his signature bass came out, Owl something. And they did some Chris Squire thing that sounds nothing like Chris Squire's Rickenbacker. But I've been quite happy with the ones that I bought.
I saw you play, Paul. I'm sure a couple of years ago there was some sort of anniversary down gig at the Tram Shed, and I think you came on and played a couple of songs.
Yeah, until I rejoined them.
Yeah, but that night, well, I know just talking about basses when you came on, because I guess you played the other guy's bass, or did you bring your own on? But you had a noticeably more toppy kind of strident sound, I suppose. You know, really cut through the mix all of a sudden when you're playing.
Yeah, that was their old bass players. I don't know what it was. Horrible thing. And you had a really woolly sound, and I've never had a woolly sound in my life.
No.
So I just turned all the top of the mid.
I thought you did. So. Yeah, it really cut through straight away. It was just a totally different sound, you know. Yeah, so it's noticeable.
But a lot of it is in your fingers, you know. People, you know, you go on these. I'm on a couple of Rickenbacker forums, and you get these endless queries about, you know, what amp does so and so use, and what string does. But you know, 80% of it is from here. You know, it's from your fingers and the pick that you use. The amp is tiny part of your sound. Absolutely tiny part. It's much more the strings and the way that you actually, you know, place your fingers on the fingerboard and the gauge of plectrum you do. Nobody ever really talks about those things. It quite bemuses me.
Yeah.
But then again, it keeps amp and pedal companies in profit. Yeah.
Well, and also I suppose, you know, if it's to do with the plectrum, then, you know, plectrums are like, you know, a quid, most of them are 50 pence, you know, an amp's like a couple of grand. So you can see why they choose to flog the amp first.
Well, yeah, very true. Yeah.